Let's talk about happiness. A lot of times people are seeking happiness and upset and disappointed because they can't find what they believe should be happiness. And they seek and seek, search and search, all in the hopes of finding that one thing, that one possession, or maybe that one relationship that will make them happy. But the reality is, happy is something that you can't find. It's something that you can't negotiate. You can't even buy it. No matter how many cars you have, how many houses you have, you cannot buy happiness. Happiness is an inward game. That means it's only on the inside. And the more you look for it on the outside, the more you become disappointed because you'll realize that none of those things, none of those situations, none of those people can bring you happiness. Now, I know there's some people who will say, well, you know what? My unhappiness began early on in my childhood and the way I was raised and some of the experiences that I had. And there's no doubt, many of you have had amazing and also terrible experiences from the past. I've even had terrible experiences. I remember growing up in a house sometimes that there was so much violence that I wondered if I was going to turn into some type of mass murderer. Now, that doesn't mean my house didn't have love, and it doesn't mean that there wasn't moments of joy and warmness in the house, but the reality is there were times when it was chaotic. And if I focused on those chaotic times, if I focused on how much they made me feel unsafe or worried or scared, and I internalized that, and I allowed that to be what grew throughout my life, I'd be in a bad place. And why is that? Because I'd be able to say that my childhood presented the situation where I had no happiness. I was not happy because of my childhood. All of us have had bad experiences. Nobody has a perfect mother or father. Nobody has the perfect auntie, grandma, whatever it is. Your family's not perfect. And no matter how much you look at those on TV and those wonderful shows, no one's family is perfect. No one's had the perfect job. No one's had the perfect boss. So if you acknowledge that we've all had problems, we've all had challenges, then again, you'll realize that there's no way you can get happiness from something other than inside yourself. So you have to realize that happiness is an inward and internal game. You and only you are responsible for your happiness. And how do you do that? You do that by looking at the situation around you and making a decision. Do you want to continue to allow the circumstance and the situation to bring you down, to depress you? Do you want to continue to say you're not reaching your peak level because of something someone else has done? Do you want to continue to give other people the power to hold you back in your life when you know there's so much more you can do? Most of us would say absolutely not. You do not want to give that type of power away. And if you don't want to give that type of power away, then it's up to you to decide that you are going to cultivate your own happiness. You're going to cultivate your ability to be successful. In one of my recent counseling sessions, I had a person come to me and they were telling me, you know what, I'm not successful at all. And I want you to help me become successful, Judge. And I said, okay, tell me where you're successful now. Well, Judge, I'm telling you, I'm not successful. And I scheduled this time with you. I want to talk with you so that you can help me become successful. And I said, okay, well, cool. Tell me, where are you successful now? And he said, again, Judge, you're not hearing me. I know it's probably a long day and you see a lot of people, Judge, but you're not hearing me. I am not successful at all. And I need you to help me become successful. I said, look, I do hear you. I hear the words that you're saying, but the problem is you're not analyzing your situation correctly. You're not looking inward to find where you're happy and where you're successful. So I asked some questions. Tell me about your family. Well, I have a daughter. She's 10 years old and she's doing well in school. I said, boom, right there. That's a success story. No matter what the relationship is, that's your daughter. She's doing well in school. Count it as a success story. I said, what about your friendships? Do you have any good friendships? Well, yeah, I have this one best friend that stuck through me through all my ups and downs. Everyone else left me alone, but I have this one. So that one good friend, that's a success story. That one good friend is somebody who's there in your corner, and not everyone even has one good friend that they can count on. And then I asked, tell me about your job. Well, it's coronavirus time and I was laid off, and but the one thing is they called me and asked me to come back to work. So now I'm trying to figure out if it makes more sense to go back to work or find another job or file for unemployment. And I said, stop right there. That's another example of a success story, because you have the option to go back to work. Not everyone has that option. Not everyone has the opportunity to decide what they want to do and if they can do it. So just in this short period of time, you outlined 3 areas in which you are very successful. See, the problem is we don't really take the time to celebrate the little wins in our lives. If you take time to celebrate the little wins, then you'll realize you have a lot to be happy about. You have a lot to be joyful about and encouraged about your future. So the first step with finding happiness and being happy is to analyze your life and actually outline in detail your small wins. And I suggest you don't just do that by listening to this audio recording. I suggest you take a piece of paper out, a pencil or a pen, and write down, starting with number 1, every single little thing you can think about. And I'll help you get started. Your eyes are open and you're able to look at the paper. Your hands are able to grab a pencil or a pen. You know how to write enough to communicate and express yourself. So those are examples of small wins. You start there, and I guarantee you before you know it, that list will be very long. And that's one of the keys to being happy, is finding those little wins so that you can quit relying on people and outward situations to bring you joy. Another step that you can take in making sure that your life is happy and that you have happiness is to understand that every moment that you are alive is truly a blessing. And I know it's been said a million times, and you can turn on any religious station and program and you can hear those words, but it's true. There are people who didn't wake up last night, went to sleep, didn't wake up. There are people who left their homes and didn't come back home. There are people who went to the most unassuming event just to be around some people and did not return to the safety of their home. Yet you are alive and you have to appreciate it. And I don't care how bad you think it is and how people don't understand you and how you don't have every single thing that you want. You have the most basic and most powerful element of achieving any of your goals, and that is the ability to live today. The last thing I want to suggest to you today during our short talk is to value your time, because time is the most valuable asset that you will ever have. And even though life is short, you have a lot of time. And during this time, you can either build your life and make the most out of it, or unfortunately, you can even destroy your life and waste your time and exist in a pity party. Don't waste your time. It's valuable and it's all that you have. Get out in nature. Go for a walk. See how life continues to go on, and it will go on and on with or without you. So the question is, how do you want to live this day so that you can say, I have lived my most powerful life, and most importantly, I enjoyed this moment. So forget about the problems that you face every single day. Forget about the bills that are coming up. I mean, of course, we have to set goals for those. But during this moment, just be happy that you're alive. During this moment, be happy that you have the ability to wake up, to see nature, to breathe. If you realize that time is valuable and you have time that some don't even have anymore, that's one way to ensure, even in this moment, that you have happiness and joy.